Alright, hey guys, what's up? I hope everything is going well, and if not, that's also fine. I know that sometimes life can be a very difficult thing to navigate, although in the difficulty, in the adversity, we usually find answers that will cause us to find ourselves on a different level, a higher level, more close to who we really are and what we really are here for, right? And if you're struggling, I made a ton of videos talking about that, so I highly recommend you check out some of them here on the channel. I do believe that there is some useful information in there for you to absorb. And in this video, I want to actually talk about conflict and how to resolve conflict, because I believe that conflict between people can be either a extremely productive and beneficial situation, or it can be something detrimental and something very destructive and something that is not good at all. And so the difference between both scenarios, that's the word I was looking for. The difference between both scenarios, I believe, comes down to 2 or 3 things. Being awareness, so being aware of your own inner state, a willingness to put your ego aside to communicate with the other person, and then probably the third one would be, I think it's more the 2, so awareness and willingness. I think those 2 are the most important things to consider while you're having some kind of conflict with someone. So usually what happens in a conflict situation is you both disagree about something, or one person disagrees, or one person feels hurt or misunderstood, and then they start to act defensive and the other person attacks, and it like kind of escalates, and that's where it becomes like detrimental, right? Because a lot of things can be said that actually don't have to be said, and they can hurt people, and they can cause distrust, and they can be very, very destructive. Like conflicts can be very, very destructive, even up until a point where things are becoming irreparable, if that's even a word. Like it's not possible to repair the things afterwards, because there has been so much damage that has been caused by the way people acted towards each other, that it's impossible to amend things. I mean, I believe there's probably almost always a way to reconcile, but sometimes it takes years and years and years, and a lot of willingness and conscious effort, and it's not good, right? Sometimes it is, because you can learn also a lot of valuable lessons because of conflicts that go wrong, but I prefer to at least try to resolve a conflict in the most effective and productive way possible before resorting to, I don't know, whatever tactics that cause the conflict to derail and cause a lot of damage, right? So, willingness and awareness, all right? So whenever you're feeling like there is a situation between you and another person, or maybe many other people, where there is tension arising, where you feel stress, you can feel your heart beat increase, you can feel more tension in your body, you're starting to feel angry or hurt or resentful, whatever it is, like these high energy, these high loaded emotions, but they are uncomfortable, right? Whenever because this is the start. The first part is to become aware of the fact that you are feeling tense, that you are starting to feel angry, or you want to, like, you know, lash out or whatever it is. Becoming aware of this is the first part, because if you're aware, then you can decide, okay, I don't have to identify with this feeling. Something that I really like doing is telling to myself, I feel angry. I'm not saying I am angry, because when I say I am angry, and I talked about this in another video, I think, the power of words. By saying I am angry, you are identify with the feeling, and then because you are the anger, you kind of subconsciously tell to yourself that you have to, like, act out the anger. So you lash out, you say something nasty, you break something, whatever, right? But by saying I feel angry, you can allow yourself to feel angry, and you don't necessarily have to act out the anger, all right? And this is also key, because you can then tell your partner or whoever you're having a conversation with, like, this is making me feel angry, or I am starting to feel angry, and I want some time to cool down. Because in a conflict situation, our bodies become very aroused, and we start to get into a fight or flight response. And probably you've heard this term a few times already pop up somewhere, because a lot of people talk about it. But basically what the fight or flight response is a excited bodily, how would I say, it's not situation, I cannot think about it. Anyways, it's a state, a bodily state, where your hormones are disproportional to a normal flatline state, right? So you have more cortisol, which is a stress hormone, you have more adrenaline. There's a few hormones that get excreted whenever you are in a stressful situation, because back in the day when we used to be hunter-gatherers, or even before that, whenever there was a dangerous situation, we had to prepare our body to fight or flight. There is also a third one, it's called freeze, but that's not really relevant right now. But if there was a saber-toothed tiger ready to devour us, we had to either be ready to fight the saber-tooth or to run. And the state our body is in whenever we're in this fight or flight response is actually causing us to not think logically, like we are not able to really think clearly, right? Because we have to focus on either fighting or escaping, and it's usually a state where our instincts take over. So our prefrontal cortex, which is the part that actually functions when we are making logical decisions and we are like thinking about things and imagining stuff, right? It's our cognitive, the most developed part of our brains, which allows us to make like logical decisions, etc. But when in a fight or flight response, this part of the brain is less active, and the more deeper parts, the older parts of the brain, which are more instinctual, they take over, right? And so this is a state where we are not really able to think clearly. That's what it comes down to. Our body is ready to run or to fight, and a lot of our normal functions, they get shut down because they require a lot of energy, and we want to save the energy to save our lives, basically. So we feel threatened and we want to save our lives, and so our body is in this state of defensiveness and readiness to run, to lash out, to say something nasty, right? So by realizing that you are in this state, by realizing that you are starting to feel angry, that you're starting to feel upset, whatever it is, you can then allow yourself to feel this. And it usually takes, I don't know, a few minutes or even like 20 minutes or something, I don't know the exact time frame, for our body to settle down again, to get back to normal blood levels. You know, the hormones, they have been digested, and they are not in our bloodstream anymore, so we can then start to think clearly again. And so in a state of fight or flight, we are unable to think clearly, so we will do more instinctive things that will probably hurt our partner, and that's when things deteriorate very quickly, because we were acting on instincts, and then this person acts back on an instinct, and it escalates, and it deteriorates, and there is no real conversation anymore happening, right? So we want to prevent that. So we want to become aware of the fact that, all right, I feel angry right now, let me take a step back and calm down. So a good tactic is, whenever you are starting, you feel like things are about to escalate, you can tell the person you're talking to, okay, hey, I know we should talk about this, but right now I feel very angry, and I think it's better if we take some time or some space, we create some space, and then afterwards we can come back and continue the conversation. And usually what this does is that it creates some space, it allows people to calm down, so their arousal drops, they are not anymore in this fight or flight response, and they had some time to think about what actually happened, right? Because by creating some space, you can then start to pay more attention to, okay, what actually happened right now? What is, and this is the second part that ties nicely into the second part, willingness. You have to be willing to see your own part in the conflict, to realize that it's always two people right? Two people who are fighting or who are disagreeing about something, or who, you know, are in a situation that is causing tension, and usually there is always something that you can do better. You can be more patient, you can be more compassionate, more understanding, whatever it is. And by creating some space to really think about it, you can then calm down and think about, okay, these are things that I could have done better or differently. And then if you approach the other person when you come back together, you can start with that. Okay, hey, I'm sorry about this, or I realize I did this wrong, and this is something that I want to pay more attention to, etc., etc. And by admitting your own mistakes first, this will create the other person to be a lot more willing to then meet you in the middle, or to solve the situation, right? Because you don't want to create a situation where both people are fighting against each other. No, you want to have a situation where two people are working together to solve a problem. The problem being whatever, right? A disagreement, a conflict, something, whatever it is, right? But you want to join forces and then attack the problem together. And by admitting your own mistakes first, this allows the other person to do the same. Your doing allows others doing. That is so nice. Like, it ties nicely into this situation as well, right? By showing your faults, by admitting your faults, the other person is more likely to do the same. And then you can start from a baseline of trust. You establish trust because this person knows, okay, he or she will admit their faults, and we are in this together. And then you can build, and then you can have, instead of a conflict or an argument, you can start to have a dialogue. And this is such a critical distinction. I always, when I'm having a conversation with someone and it's starting to escalate, I'm asking myself, are we having an argument or are we having a dialogue? And if you find yourself in having an argument or a conflict, then you want to take a step back and find out ways to turn it into a dialogue. And this can be done through admitting your own mistakes, creating some space, going outside for a walk. You know, like, there's different ways to turn things from an argument into a dialogue. And a dialogue is where two people are communicating and listening to each other and trying to look for a solution to a specific problem. And I think that is a way better place to be in than to be arguing and fighting, because it will not solve anything. Whenever you feel like you're escalating, just become aware, be willing to walk away and take a break, because there has not been many arguments that whenever they started escalating and by continuously escalating it solved the problem. That almost never happens. What usually happens, it escalates until a certain point where you cannot take it anymore, and then you break something, or something, snaps. And that's what you want to prevent. You want to, whenever you feel it building, you want to calm it down again and start here again, where you can meet each other on a logical level, and you want to try to solve the problem, the issues together, right? So becoming aware of your own internal state and showing the willingness to solve the problem together, and humble yourself. You don't have to go on your bare knees and beg the person to forgive you or anything. That's not what it's about. What it is about, though, is that you realize that, okay, there is also some things that I could have done better. I could have maybe been a little bit more patient, or try to understand them better, or allow them to express them a little bit more clearly, or ask for more clarification. Whatever it is, there's always something that you can do better. And by allowing by allowing this to be there, by accepting that you can do things better, and by also communicating this towards the person you are having a difficult situation with, this will establish trust, and it will build a foundation where you can build on more and more and more, and that way you can actually resolve the conflict in a way that causes the bond between the two of you, or between all these people that you're having a conflict with, to be stronger, because now you created a positive reference experience where they know that you are trustworthy, that you are willing to understand where they are coming from, and you know the same from them. And so whenever there is another situation that is kind of difficult to navigate, you know that you can trust the fact that they will try to work together, and this increases the trust between people dramatically. And in romantic relationships, this is such a huge part of navigating healthy relationship, right? Having arguments, if you can turn them into dialogues where you're working together towards figuring out a solution to a problem you're both facing, that is so strong, because then you know you're on the same path, you're on the same side, and you know that you care about one another, and you don't want to fight or make the other person feel down or feel bad, or you want to create a space, and then the awareness to join forces and to admit your own faults, and then to amend things, and to move forward, right? And to show that you care about each other and that you're not there to hurt each other. And this is another very helpful set of beliefs that, for example, whenever you're in a conversation with someone that you care about and that you know cares about you, always think that whatever they're doing it with their best intentions in mind. Okay, they're not saying things to try to hurt you. I try to believe that as much as possible. I would like to believe it always, but sometimes that is not the case. But usually it's very, very helpful to think that, okay, they're not having bad intentions. They are doing this with the best intentions in mind, and maybe I misinterpreted what they said, or maybe I was in a bad mood and I took things the wrong way, whatever it is, or they are unable to express themselves clearly. So you want to approach the situation with some curiosity, some open-mindedness, some non-judgmental, like with a non-judgmental attitude, because you want to kind of like inquire what's going on. You want to ask them like, hey, I felt really hurt when you said that. Could you clarify it a little bit more, because I don't really understand why you did. Something like that. And then they can talk about, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. This is actually what I meant. And then you can like resolve the issue without having to immediately start a fight, you know, because you realize that the other person is not saying things with a bad intention. They are just saying things because they maybe don't know how to say it otherwise, right? So this is a very helpful set of beliefs to have whenever you are entering a situation that can potentially lead to an argument, that can potentially completely escalate. So become aware, create some space, admit your own mistakes, and take it from there. So on that note, I want to end this video. So thank you for being brave. Thank you for looking inwards. Thank you for making yourself and thus the world a better place one step at a time. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Talk soon. Bye.